Revalue open foreign currency balances. This task performs a very specific function in the month close process. It will go ahead and revalue GL accounts that have been configured in a certain way. Specifically, there is a checkbox on each GL account that calls out whether that GL account should be revalued for foreign currency transactions. If that checkbox is checked, that GL account will be subject to the revaluation process. You can see that on screen here. Let's jump into NetSuite and actually run through the process itself. You might notice that some of the period close tasks have already been closed. These are related to inventory and outside the scope for this course. We're going to move on to the revaluation of those foreign currency balances. So now that we're in this screen, we're going to go ahead and click on the currency revaluation button. And notice here that the system defaults to our parent entity and has all of the GL accounts selected. This is the list of GL accounts that have that checkbox checked on the GL account configuration that I mentioned earlier. Now there's a few points to note on this screen. The first being it's very tempting to check this box, include children, because elsewhere in NetSuite, when you select the parent entity and check the box for include children and you run a process, it will execute for the parent entity and its children. That's unfortunately not the case with this process. In fact, when I go ahead and click on include children, notice that all of the GL accounts disappear. In other words, NetSuite will not go ahead and revalue these accounts when this checkbox is checked. So what that really means is that you need to go ahead and run this process for each and every subsidiary in your NetSuite environment. Now, feel free to go ahead and give this transaction a memo that can be referenced later on when running reports. Likewise, if you need to filter to specific class, department, location, you can do so as well. For now, let's go ahead and click on Save. And this process would then go ahead and create the foreign currency balance revaluation if there were any balances in that specific GL account. The status will be showed here. Let me refresh. There's no accounts to balance here or revalue. So we can go ahead and mark this task as complete. Now, what's interesting about the revalue open foreign currency balances task is that it can also be performed throughout an accounting period and not just as part of the month close process checklist. In fact, if you navigate to Transactions, Financial, Revalue Open Currency Balances, you will see a screen that looks very familiar. In fact, it's the same screen that we had open before. The only exception is that you can run this for the different accounting periods that are open in the system, as opposed to being focused on one specific accounting period through the month close process checklist.